In the beginning, there was...
The Bitchspot Report. Welcome to the Bitchspot Report, the conservative atheist podcast that's not afraid to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Every week, your hosts, Cephus and Mike, will take on the latest religious and political news and examine the world around us from a distinctly conservative and skeptical perspective. Join us now for this episode of the Bitchspot Report. Here we go again, another episode of the best conservative atheist podcast around. Well, granted, it is the only conservative atheist podcast around, so maybe that's not that big of a deal. Along with the other news and regular stuff, today we're going to be reviewing Ray Comfort's latest video, Evolution vs. God. It's 45 minutes of pain. We watched it, so you don't have to. But first, I wanted to point out to everybody that we're now on Stitcher Radio. You can listen to thousands of podcasts, including ours, by downloading their free app. Go to Stitcher.com today for more details, and the link to our show is in the sidebar at our site at report.jdragononline.com. So how's it going this week?
Going pretty good. Could
Busy?
be better.
Yeah, busy.
Busy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just been fun. Just a fun week. So, and then you made me watch that abortion.
I hate watching those stupid things.
Yeah.
The thing was like 45 minutes long, and it took me probably 3 hours to watch it, because every 5 minutes I'd have to stop or I'd punch my screen.
You know what? I hammered through it and trying to take notes and just feeling my IQ numbers tick down lower and lower and lower. Let's save that for our listeners. And
yeah, because that's going to be just painful to go through.
Yeah.
But, while we're talking about that kind of stuff, there was something that really pisses me off. And it's not just this week, it's all the time. But I just wanted to touch on it briefly. So let's go into some things that piss us off.
Yeah.
Alright, this is going to come up later in the show, but I just had a rant about blatant theist dishonesty. I'm not even necessarily talking about people who knowingly lie for Jesus, although those people are clearly out there. I mean the people who've been doing this for long enough that they cannot conceivably not have heard that their arguments are faulty, that their conclusions are incorrect, and that their claimed evidence is ridiculous, yet they still continue to repeat the same old proven wrong nonsense day after day after day because they just don't have the intellectual integrity to check out their own claims for validity. What the fuck is it with these stupid theists, and you see them on Twitter all the time, who they keep repeating the same crap over and over? They can't conceivably not know how wrong they are. There is no way they can say, well, we just didn't know. What the fuck is with these people?
I wish I could understand that. I think I've said it in previous shows. These people are just so locked into the lie that they can't get out. I mean, they can't see beyond. They've bought into it. I don't know. I don't know what's holding them back. And I mean, certainly they can go out to the internet and they found, what supports their thing, what they're ranting about. But they won't go out and look at the counter arguments. I mean, I really just don't understand it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you deal with the same thing with the conspiracy nuts. Same damn thing.
Yeah.
They can't conceivably not know they're wrong.
I kind of have my little rant. I sent you that thread, last week?
Yeah.
And you see the guy, well, for the listeners, it started off as a thought experiment. It was this, if you were in radio contact with aliens, how would you explain left and right? Though he didn't lay it out in the beginning, he eventually said, well, this is a thought experiment. How would you do this? How would you accomplish this? And early on in the thread, there was the one guy said, oh yeah, I get it now. It's like trying to explain something that is not it's not universal. What would you have to do to explain it? Well, later on, this knucklehead gets on and say, well, yeah, you do this, and you can do stereo, since you're in radio contact. The guy kept coming back. Well, then, how can you be sure that the signal didn't twist or turn or do whatever before it got there? And the guy got kind of pissed off because, it's like he was changing the rules all the time. It's like, no, I understood the question. I mean, if I would have given an answer, and I almost thought about doing that, but see, I saw the thread after the fact, and, my answer would be, well, you can't. If your only contact is by radio, I mean, like between me and you, how would I explain left and right? If you were an alien and didn't have arms, you didn't understand radio, that type of thing. How would I explain that? And you can't until you can step back, and you have to keep stepping back and getting to like some type of common denominator where you can now relate and try to build. Then you got to rebuild, and you're almost like building a vocabulary between the two. I think that was probably the answer. But this guy was like, oh, no, because, they were doing the whole electronics right hand rule, that if you got a current running through a wire, the magnetic field will go a certain way, and your thumb points to the direction that the electrons are flowing. So that's how you can tell them it's right. It's like, yeah, but how do you know that they use wire and they understand magnetism the way we do?
Well, it doesn't matter if they understand magnetism. The physical laws are the physical laws. They operate the same way for everybody.
Right.
See, the problem with that whole thing, and, this kind of gets back to the whole theist thing as well. This guy, clearly, he had a specific answer in mind. He wanted everybody to admit that there was no way to do it. And when people came up with things that he hadn't thought of, he kept trying to change the rules to steer everybody back to his answer. And that's where the whole thing went wrong. He didn't admit, well, I'm wrong. Yeah. He just said, nope, this is the only answer that I will accept. And if you can't come up with my answer, I'm going to keep steering you back that way until you admit that I was right all along. Same shit happens with theists.
Yeah. That was the problem, I think, with the whole thing was that, well, the guy didn't really make any specifications at the beginning. I mean, I took it as a thought experiment, and he didn't mention that it was a thought experiment. So I figured the answer was a little deeper than just our understanding. I mean, physical law is supposed to be universal. I mean, it should exist across the universe.
They are.
Right. But we describe things in feet, inches, time, seconds. What does the aliens use? They don't use our arbitrary distances,
Doesn't matter. We can easily do that. Any aliens that are advanced enough to send that kind of stuff, we can say, okay, you can measure the speed of light. The speed of light is a constant. You can measure the vibration of atoms. That's a constant. You can use that for time measurement. It's not hard to be able to measure that stuff.
What? Hang on. Let's do speed of light. What is the definition of the speed of light?
Well, I mean, we use
come on. This is what I'm getting at. This is my argument, or would be my argument, is that, yeah, we understand that light travels at this set speed.
186,282 miles per second.
Right. Okay, miles per second.
But that's just a label that we put on it. They might have a different label, but the light still moves at the same speed.
Right.
It doesn't. It moves at a certain amount of speed over a certain amount of time, and it doesn't matter what the labels are. It still moves at a certain amount of speed over a certain amount of time.
Okay, because that's the point. If we were to say light travels at this, they can ask, the question could be, what is light? They could be calling it macaroni for all we know.
Doesn't matter what they call it, as long as the concept is understood. And the concept is clear.
And the concept can't be but the concept can't be understood.
How can it not be?
Because I understand my universe in...
We're all in the same universe.
Exactly. But if my universe, and if my basis of my science has used measurements like we call light macaroni, we can call miles Chevrolets and time in chickens. Okay, you tell me that miles. Well, miles don't mean anything to me until we can say until we can come up, and that's where the vocabulary, developing the vocabulary and the translation. Once we figure out macaroni equals light, Chevrolet equals miles, chicken equals seconds.
The problem is if you have no common frame of reference, then you don't actually have any kind of communication anyway. You have to assume that you and the aliens can understand each other before you even begin this experiment.
Now we got a common. Now we can go.
But you have that common before that.
No, we didn't.
Sure you did, because you all have an understanding of what light is. You all have an understanding of what gravity is. You know, these are things that everybody has.
Right, but
no matter how you describe it, the experience is still the same.
But see, that's what I think was supposed to be the part of the question. How do you explain to somebody who doesn't understand, or they understand the underlying, that, the photons are moving at this speed, and that's probably the same thing. But they've got a different term for it, and we have to make sure that we're not screwing up and saying, we're describing light. We could also be describing something else. We can be sound. Sound we measure the same way. It's just, it's shorter. And then once we understand the math, the science underneath it, I mean, there's more science underneath just saying light travels at this speed. There's we have to keep going, got to dig deeper, deeper, deeper. Then you're in good shape. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not how I read what he was saying. I was kind of saying, if he's saying that they have no concept of in any way, shape, or form of what left or right is. Not the word, but the concept.
Right. Well,
could we explain to them what the concept is only over the radio? And sure, it's not that hard. There are things in nature that go left or right. And you can say, go look at this, and the way it's turning, that's left or that's right. And the concepts exist. These people would have to be complete idiots and probably couldn't handle sending out radio waves to begin with, or having a conversation. If they're advanced enough to be doing that, then they're advanced enough to know the basic science behind all this, and we could explain it through observations that they can make there.
Right, but I can also make the argument that they don't use radio as radio. They may put a fish in their ear, and that's how they read things. So, there might be, I'm just saying that there's so many things that you have to be able to drill down far enough. We're still trying to figure out stuff scientifically, and if they're more advanced than us, if they're less than advanced at us, radio was a bad thing to say for this experiment, because you can understand, or both sides have to understand that, how we're talking. But if you're just talking through a tube or whatever it is, that's where that thread screwed up.
Yeah.
That was my opinion. And then once you screw up your question, you screw up the answers, everyone calls each other, oh, you're just a jerk, you're just a troll, and then they stomp off and sulk in their corners until they get brave enough to do it again.
Yeah, well, it's all a bunch of immature idiots doing this thing.
Right.
But let's be honest, I mean, the physical laws are the physical laws. There is no magic in the universe, so it's not like they're sticking fish in their ear. Right. There's only certain ways that they can do radio, and that's through an understanding of basic science. So,
yeah. Well, because there's more to it than just, because we have to put labels on stuff to understand constants. We have to understand what we're trying to describe. We describe light as light. We describe distance in feet, miles, meters, what have you. We did time in hours, minutes, seconds. And we have to be sure we're thinking the same way. Maybe someone here on this planet, or, trying to explain to a theist, evolution, you got to keep drilling down. You just can't say evolution is true because this guy says so.
But we don't say that. We say evolution is true because here's all the evidence, the overwhelming evidence for it.
Right.
What some guy says is irrelevant.
And maybe that's part of the problem. We were not drilling deep enough into the question. There may not be the common language. They understand theory as make-believe. They don't see theory as we see it, as, a fairly accurate description of reality. We see laws of gravity, momentum, all those laws. These guys don't seem to see that.
Yeah, but unfortunately, because we've already set the standard that they have radio communication, we pretty much understand that they have a technological society. Thus, they do see things pretty much like we do, because otherwise they wouldn't have a technological society.
Right.
So,
unless they haven't broke through the, they haven't broke into the atom yet. Sometimes you don't know.
Yeah, but you don't have to do that in order to have a technological society or have an intelligent, science-based society.
You're right. But, they can have theories and they can have hypotheses on, that was my take.
The thing is, you don't even have to go into outer space and talk to aliens. All right. Just assume two people on Earth who speak different languages and do not have any way of understanding each other. Could they teach each other things about the world around us? And the answer is absolutely yes. Because they both have the same physical reality that they can deal with, and they can both point to things that they have a common experience in. Even if they have no commonalities in language, they can say, all right, here's water. Do we understand what water? Do we understand what water is made of? Do we understand how water operates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? They don't have to understand each other's language. They don't have to share common terms, but they certainly can have a common understanding of reality.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to say. I say water, they say something else. And once we establish that, then everything's good. Water, whatever, agua, that type of thing. That would have been my answer is once you build that basic, you can keep building on it and then getting to concepts like, arbitrary, concepts like left and right. What is left? What is right? That type of thing. It seemed awfully human-centric, like we're assuming that these are humanoid. Maybe that was the purpose, was to get you thinking, because that's what I did. I ended up kept thinking, go, oh yeah, what if these are, these aren't, humanoid, upright walking.
Doesn't matter. Left and right exists no matter if you're humanoid or not. Dogs and cats have left and right.
But what I'm getting at is that when you're trying to say, well, this hand, whatever if you're trying that route, does left and right mean anything to them? Does it make any sense?
Well, the guy clearly he was doing the whole mental masturbation thing, and then he phrased it completely wrong. Everybody showed him that he was completely wrong, and he threw a temper tantrum, and that was it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just admit you're wrong, dude, and be done with it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we should probably get into the news because this is going to be a really long show.
I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, I know.
Let's jump right in, man.
All right, here we go. And now the news. All right, we've talked before about the horrors of religion in Ireland, about a woman who died when her pregnancy went horribly wrong and could easily have been saved had Ireland allowed her to abort her already doomed fetus, but instead both mother and fetus died because Ireland didn't allow abortions. That is, until now. Ireland's traditional hyper-religious demographic has been failing, and now they've just voted to allow the first limited abortion rights in the nation. This hasn't been a popular decision among some Catholics who have written letters to the Parliament in blood, which is like a completely rational thing to do. It's not a perfect solution, but in a country full of crazy religious idiots, it may just be the first step in the right direction.
I hope so.
Yeah. It's horrifying to see how the religious just keep pushing for more dead women and underground abortions. It's just stupid.
Yeah, it's just this hanging on of old traditions, this whole thing that somewhere in there, that in the Bible against abortion, wherever that is. God, I like to say, we live in a modern society. I don't know what the actual rules around, the world, what's better or worse, but there's certainly, why hang on to stuff?
Because they're Catholic. Catholics are idiots and they're Catholic. That's the whole reason.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, in Ireland, Catholics are leaving the church faster than pretty much anywhere else. I think this is clear evidence that religion in Ireland, like pretty much every place else in Europe, is completely falling apart.
Definitely. There's been like this big exodus from I forget if it's Finland, or Denmark, one of the Scandinavian countries. Some guy, I guess one of their prime ministers or somebody in a parliament somewhere made a pretty ignorant statements. And again, I don't remember, but apparently the Lutheran Church had a number of people dropping out, and apparently, I want to say Finland maybe, but it was like the churches in I know a church in Finland, maybe Sweden and Norway are the same, where they're actually a taxing body. They collect taxes from, like through employment or whatever, the taxes. And there's people just dropping out and saying, hey, we want nothing to do with this. We want nothing more to do with this church. And they're dependent on this tax money. That's not a good thing for them and for the churches themselves. And, again, this is coming out of a government, government official making some ignorant statements. I wish I could have been more clear on that. It's that kind of stuff that's happening in Ireland. Pushing enough people away. I don't know if in Ireland they tax. It'd be nice to know if there's a church tax. I mean,
most places they don't.
Yeah. I know Finland and Sweden, I think they got church taxes.
Oh, I think we should be taxing the crap out of the churches anyway.
No, I mean, you pay into the church through taxes.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying we should be taxing the churches.
Oh, yeah.
Not giving them tax money. We should be taking money from them because they're all a bunch of crooks.
Right. Or at least getting them to pay their fair share.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
Right.
I mean, it's a step in the right direction for Ireland.
Yeah.
I mean, so far, most women have had to travel to England to get an abortion where it's completely legal. But if there's an emergency or something, the hospitals can't do anything. They can't provide an abortion until the fetus is officially declared dead. So if it's still breathing or whatever, and the woman is dying, then they just let them both die. And that's a stupid thing to do.
I mean, that's so wrong on so many levels. I mean, when they tramp out this right to life, life of the fetus, it would have been nice if there was just that one doctor says, screw it. I'll go to jail. I'll do this abortion. I'll save this woman.
He would have lost his medical license, gone to jail for the rest of his life, and nothing would have changed. The whole thing is just stupid, though. When you think about it, the whole thing is just stupid, all right? You have this woman who is going to die. If she dies, the fetus dies. You cannot save the fetus. It's too early to save. Let's face it, in the case that we were talking about before, the fetus was already horribly damaged anyway. It had a zero chance of living. Right. So they just killed the woman for the hell of it. They couldn't save the fetus no matter what they did. It's idiotic. It's like, did you people ever stop to think about this crap? But nope, religion comes first and life comes last.
And then they wonder why they can't fill pews. They're killing their own people off.
Well, their people are going, you people are idiots, we're leaving.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get to your first story.
Okay, this comes from the Dhaka Tribune, whatever this is, from Bangladesh. Religion-based campaigns could cost candidature. EC decided it would cancel candidacy of those who engage in religious-based campaigning. The Election Commission, I'm assuming this is the Election Commission of Bangladesh, has decided it will cancel the candidacy of those who will engage in religion-based campaigning, starting with the upcoming general election. After announcing the poll's schedule, the EC will warn everyone to abstain from using the religion card in election campaigns for the next parliamentary polls. If any specific allegation of doing so against a candidate is proven, the EC will cancel his or her candidature, EC officials said on Tuesday. Hooray for Bangladesh.
Yeah, if it works.
I hope it works.
Well, I mean, the government of Bangladesh is already secular, no matter how much the Muslim extremists don't like it. This is only going to help. But it depends on if they can actually enforce it.
Well, it sounds like they might be in for a run for themselves there, because I am sure if you got an ugly campaign, I mean, I'm sure both sides are going to be accusing each other of religious campaigning. It could be good. It could cut out the religion out of politics.
I doubt it.
Or it could just turn into Election Day in Chicago.
Yeah.
Just this totally insane everyone accusing everyone of everything, and next thing you know, no one can run because they've all been accused of and proven to have done this, so it's such a double-edged sword. It'd be neat to see what pans out. I think that's my position will be, is to see how this pans out. If it works, great. If it doesn't, figure something else out. Certainly they're thinking the right way.
Yeah, unless it turns into a complete bloodbath because the Muslims just say, screw it, our religion is more important and we're just going to kill you for disagreeing.
And that's the worst case,
But that's what's been going on in Bangladesh now.
Right.
The secular government has already ruled. They took out all the Muslim requirements out of the constitution and all that. And the Muslims are going apeshit and killing people because that's what Muslims do.
Right.
So I don't expect the Muslims to pay any damn attention to what the government does. They're going to keep doing their thing. And, if they can convince enough crazies in that country that this is all an insult to Allah, you're going to end up seeing a civil war, which is what it is. My question is, why don't we do this in the U.S., where our secular government is guaranteed by the Constitution, yet we let all these religious idiots run largely on a religious platform? Why can't we do that here? That would be excellent.
Yeah, that would be excellent.
Yeah, but then they'd actually have to run on a platform instead of, appealing to idiots.
Right. Right.
That's kind of what we do now.
Yeah, it's, put a pretty face, put a saxophone player, or, basketball player, whatever, a movie star, let him run for governor type thing, and then they get elected, and then, then the stupidity starts, and then they go, well, why did we choose this guy? Well, because you thought he was pretty. You thought she was hot, It's like, come on, people.
Yeah.
Come on, pull your heads out of your asses and vote for somebody that might actually do the job, or at least try to convince somebody in there to do the job. Come on.
Well, yeah, we don't hire politicians to actually do anything. We hire them to make a bunch of promises that make us happy and then to completely ignore us once they're in power.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a useless government. At least Bangladesh is trying. They're probably going to fail, but they're trying.
Yeah.
I'll give them credit for that.
It's a good start, and who knows? Maybe it'll catch on. Maybe it won't. At least people are trying. I mean, that's half the battle right there. Just try. Don't just knuckle under. Granted, it's over there, you probably have an AK-47 pointed at your head, and you're going to vote my way, or you get the bullet to the head. But, like I said, it is. They're trying. It sounds like they're serious. Let's see what shakes out.
Yeah, that's about all we can do.
Yeah.
All right, the next story. Pope Francis overhauled Vatican law by declaring that prostitution, sexual violence, possession of child pornography, and other crimes against children are now officially illegal within Vatican City and can be punished by up to 12 years in Vatican prison. While this is all well and good, he also outlawed one other thing that's a little more telling. He declared it illegal to leak any secret information about the Catholic Church. With the multiple whistleblowers who have gone public in recent years, is this just an attempt by the Pope to avoid fallout from the terrible things that are actually going on in the Vatican? Seriously, that just doesn't fit with all the other things that he made illegal, does it?
Or maybe it does, it's like, okay, from now on we will prosecute, this, and this isn't church law, this is, the police within the Vatican will do this stuff. But you can't talk about anything before that. Okay, it's just so sleazy.
Well, I mean, it's dumb. All right, first off, the laws only apply to people within the Vatican. But if you want to be a whistleblower, how far do you have to walk to get out of the Vatican? The Vatican is 3 miles across. You can walk outside the Vatican and blow the whistle all you want, and the laws don't apply to you anymore. Just don't go back in. Right. This is not difficult. Secondly, isn't it kind of sad that they had to make laws specifically outlawing screwing children? I mean, isn't this something that should be a given?
Well, it should have been. But you know what? Apparently, if I'm reading the article right, after signing, I guess they signed some UN treaty. Now they have to. It's like, what the fuck?
Well, why wasn't this in their laws all along? I mean, I know their Vatican law went back to like the, late 1800s. But Seriously, guys, you didn't have laws in there against screwing children? You know, what are we going to look through your laws and go, well, yeah, we don't have any laws against murder. We don't have any laws against theft. You know, we just didn't bother with any of that stuff. And we've kind of survived all these thousands of years without it. No, you've got those laws. They're dumbass. Why didn't you have the anti-child fucking laws?
Yeah.
The first law of child fucking club is not to talk about child fucking club. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they've placed themselves, as pillars and all that, the whole crap about all that, supposedly, these are the holiest of holies. Did you really need even murder laws? Because you've got your commandments that you're supposed to be, observing. And I mean, if it's a religious, this religious conclave, and again, being probably locked up in that place, you don't get much of the real understanding of the real world.
Yeah.
You just see the little people running around in the square there.
Yeah, well, my question is, if they really want to say we're running this place by biblical law, how many people are going to jail for wearing mixed fabrics and eating shellfish? I don't think a whole lot.
Not a lot, yeah. It's just, again, the stupidity, that's stupidity.
Yes, stupidity.
Well, stupidity, but, it's like, we have the inside line to God, so, he'll tell us if we're doing something wrong, and, he's not saying anything. Cool, we can play,
Yeah. If you don't want us to do this, say something now. Nothing? Okay.
Hey.
If you don't want me to rape these kids, say something now. Yeah, well, you have to remember this whole thing goes back to like last year when the butler for Pope Benedict was tried and convicted by a Vatican court for stealing all of his personal papers and giving them to an Italian journalist. And then he was sentenced to 18 months in prison, but he was released by Benedict for, I don't know, good behavior or whatever. But nothing he did, no information he provided on the Vatican was untrue. It was all the absolute truth of what's going on behind the Vatican. It's the same kind of crap we're getting in the U.S. right now with like Snowden and the NSA. He did not lie about anything that's actually going on by the NSA, but, they're getting all pissed off going, well, you can't tell anybody the truth about us. Fuck you. Of course we can.
The one thing I don't understand, you are bound by, when you sign or allegedly you sign your contracts and there are laws governing, giving out these secrets. But you know what? Laws only go so far. It's not going to stop somebody from saying, this is fucked up. I got to tell the world about this, and go out, find WikiLeaks. Here, Julian, I got a live one for you. And then go off and disappear. Those hit the internet. There's nothing you can do about it. The genie's out of the bottle.
Right.
All that vetting, I work in a lot of refineries. They don't want people talking too much about what goes on inside because and it is Homeland Security related. It's where things are, what they do in these refineries. And personally, I don't want to be the one that just happened to give out the information, a critical area where, all a terrorist has to do is drive here and, take out half of a city. I'm not going to be that guy. And then plus I want to keep working at these places. So I keep it on the lowdown. I mean, I'll if I do ever talk about some of the stuff I do at work, I'm going to really, try to, pull anything tangible out of it, or any descriptions out of it. So hopefully no one can figure out what I'm talking about. But, hopefully I can get the point across. But, once that genie's out, you can't put it back in. And on one hand, he did violate the law, and the United States is going to be chasing after him. They're going to be after him for probably the rest of his life. I guess what he's got temporary asylum in Russia, or he just applied for temporary asylum.
Yeah, Putin says he doesn't want him in Russia.
Yeah. And there's something about Venezuela. But anyhow, of course, the fallout, that's been the great thing.
Well, that's the problem is and this is true of both the Vatican and the NSA, is that the only thing that they're really worried about is that this guy outed their secrets. It's not that they were actually doing something wrong and got caught at it. They don't give a crap if they were doing things wrong. They only care that they're getting bad publicity from it. they're going to continue to do the things wrong that they've always done because they don't give a crap about the law, the Constitution, or anything else. They only care that, holy shit, now they look bad doing it.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah. You could pass all the laws you wanted. It's not going to change any. You know, if what was it? What's that? The movie was made of Falcon and Snowman, where the guy gave out U.S. secrets to the Russians about satellites. You know,
that would be the Falcon and the Snowman.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if that was the.
Yes, that was the movie.
Okay, but anyhow, you know that. I mean, again, this guy just, you know, he saw all these secrets, how the United States was assassinating world leaders. You know, they hid in Chile. You know, all this stuff, and coming across his desk, and is like, this ain't right. You know.
Yeah.
And you know, God bless these guys for, you know, putting their life on the line,
so to speak.
Right. I mean, I think you know, the satellite thing, I think those guys actually did do jail time. I mean, Snowden, I mean, they're still chasing him around. The one guy gets, you know, he goes to prison, gets pardoned. I mean, it's pretty sad that, defending secrets, like, you know, government security secrets, you know, protecting names. I mean, there was that one where was it the CIA, where someone had leaked to a newspaper and it gave out, actual people's names. I mean, that wasn't good, but this was all, you know, it was all part of this, you know, the spy game, you know, people, you know, they're doing their thing. The Vatican making it to hide something illegal. You know, like when you have the secrecy stuff here in the States, it's usually just secret. If it's marked secret, you can't divulge it. They're making the distinction, anything about the child, you know, rape, porn, you know, whatever, you can go to jail. That's wrong.
Yeah. But I mean, that's really where this whole thing comes down. It's one thing to go out and to, like, sell state secrets to a foreign power or whatever. That's wrong. But when you're actually exposing things that the government or that the Vatican is doing that are blatantly illegal, that they cannot be doing, and then everybody just chases after you because you're exposing the wrong that the government is doing, it's ridiculous. I mean, the people need to stand up and say, oh, hell no, you're not going to go after him. You know, your lies and deceits have been exposed. We're coming after your ass.
Yeah.
And, you know, but that's not what's happening now. It's the government gets to do whatever the fuck the government wants to do, and, you know, anybody who dares to disagree gets stomped on.
Right.
You know,
yeah, they'll spin it. They'll try to say, well, you know, this was, you know, whatever the spin is.
They don't care.
Well, that's the idea. They spin it to make it sound like spying on Americans isn't that bad.
Oh, they don't care. They don't care if it's absolutely against the Constitution. They don't give a damn. To them, the Constitution is irrelevant. They do whatever the hell they want to do because they can, because they have the power to do it. That's the thing. And that's something this country needs to get really pissed off about. Just like Catholics need to get really pissed off about the stupid Vatican.
The Vatican, they're hiding money laundering, they're hiding funds.
Hiding pedophiles.
Hiding pedophile, you know, the whole...
Gay prostitution rings. You name it.
Basically, we gotta get our heads out of our asses and say, we can't condone this anymore.
Seriously, if the Catholics were really, really serious, you'd have a couple million of them showing up at the Vatican saying, guess what? You're done. You know, I would love to see a military coup in the Vatican. I would love to see 1 million Catholics right out in the square with guns and just say, we're taking this place over and we're cleaning up.
That'd be way cool. That would be way cool.
That would be amazing.
Not that I would condone that kind of violence, but you know what?
Nothing says it has to be violent. Nobody has to die. But I don't think there's enough police in Vatican City that could stop anything like that. I don't know if Italy probably wouldn't send in their own forces because Italy doesn't really like the fucking Vatican anymore. So,
yep.
All right. Hey, I can go with that. Let's call for an armed coup of the Vatican.
Get the Swiss Guard. Hey, let's see what you guys can do.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't you take your last story?
I'll take my last story here. And this is another, actually, I think a pretty good politics New Orleans schools banned creationism, revisionist history course promoted by Texas. The Orleans Parish School Board, which controls the curriculum and policies for 6 schools in New Orleans, voted Tuesday to ban the teaching of creationism as science and revisionist history course touted in Texas. Although none of these 6 New Orleans schools currently teaches creationism or intelligent design, outgoing Orleans Parish School Board President Thomas Robinaugh is making sure they never will, the Times-Picayune first reported in November. The newly approved policy bans teachers from including any aspect of religious faith in science courses and from using history textbooks adjusted to include Christianity. When the Texas State Board of Education in 2010 adopted their statewide social studies and history curriculum, which watered down the teaching of civil rights movement, religious freedoms, American relationship with the United Nations, and hundreds of other topics. Basically, this is saying, fuck you, Texas, we're not going to teach what you're teaching over there. We're going to teach our kids real science, real history.
Yeah. I mean, while I think this is a great sign from the people of New Orleans, it's just really sad they have to do that.
Exactly.
I mean, do they have to pass a law banning the teaching of evil spirits in medical classes, or what?
You know what? You might have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have to. Hopefully this works. I mean, I'm sure this is going to work. I mean, I'm almost tempted to go to my school board or at least write them and say, hey, can you do something like this, what they did in New Orleans? Make sure that we don't get it when we get a school board, they can't bring creationism or this, anything that's being taught in Texas. I think that'd be a very good idea, and maybe for our listeners to write to your school boards and say, here, look, New Orleans is banning the teaching of creationism and the revisionist history that's coming out of Texas in the Texas school books. If we can, if that could happen and get a lot of these, these schools that are maybe using, the Texas curriculum, that could be a big thing. Whether it would happen or not, I don't know, but we need something like that in all our school districts. Because I do know that Louisiana has that voucher. I don't know if how bad that's been shot down or messed up yet. But you can use vouchers for homeschooling.
Yeah, which is stupid.
Yeah, and homeschools, that's where these parents are teaching creationism. This is where they're teaching fucked up history that they teach in Texas. They're teaching creationism as a science. So basically, the vouchers are paying to teach creationism. And I know there's a fellow who's been pretty vocal. I forget his name. He's been on a few podcasts, and I know he was even on Bill Maher's show, Late Night with Bill Maher, talking about the effort in trying to overturn that voucher system down there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this just proves once again how stupid Rick Perry and the idiots in Texas are.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, since creationism has already been decided to be a completely religious teaching, they really need to go in and sue Louisiana and basically say you cannot use state money to fund religious education. That's already been established. So all they have to do is say anybody who's going to be teaching creationism, out they go. They don't get any money. But I really think this is more evidence that we need national curriculums in this country. We need a single curriculum where we get all the best experts in all the fields, the best mathematicians, the best scientists, the best English experts, linguists, I don't know. All these people, and the best historians, and these people need to come together once every 10 years and develop a national curriculum that every damn school in the country is required to follow, period. All the textbooks are going to be the same because everybody's got the same curriculum. You're not going to have Texas going, well, hell, we're going to go off the reservation. No, you're not.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It pisses off the libertarians to no end, but guys, I'm sorry. We have an educational system in this country where going from school to school or state to state or city to city, you can be off by like an entire year based on how they're teaching. If you're in 9th grade and you go from California to Texas, they could be teaching things that you learned in the 7th grade because they're so far behind, or the opposite way, they're so far ahead and you're missing 2 years worth of school, or they're teaching nonsense.
Right.
I don't care what the libertarians say. We need a national curriculum.
Definitely. Or something along that lines. At least it's a shame. And I mean, I don't know if Texas did it on purpose or this is just, whatever. Cause they buy up all their books all at one shot. And it created the financial drive for these textbook providers. Whatever Texas does, that's what the textbooks are going to be, or at least their choice in textbooks is going to come out of Texas. And
well, Texas or California, those are the two big deciders.
Right. I don't follow California as much as I probably should. I mean, that's all you hear about is Texas, and the nutso stuff that goes on down there. But at least ways in the New Orleans, in this story, that they're thinking ahead and saying, no, we keep that crap out of our schools. I know we were going to maybe do a show on that one movie where they were showing that whole process.
Yeah, the revisionaries.
Revisionaries. It won't be as bad as what we're going to be doing here in a little bit.
God, I hope not.
But you know what? Watching the history part, I mean, I'm a history nut. I mean, for the past 20, 30 years, I mean, at least a quarter of that has been my nose in a history book. And I'm just banging my head that you're getting rid of Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson is irrelevant in history.
In their own little fantasy world, yes.
And I'm like, what is going on here? That the civil rights movement didn't happen, and you got two black people on there, and they did speak up, but it's like, my God, that's, it's just insane what they're doing in Texas. I mean, I didn't realize how bad it was, and it's like, come on. I've dealt with revisionist history quite a bit. This isn't just revisionism. This is like, like erasing, the past. Get rid of the ugly past. Forget about, slavery didn't really happen, that type of attitude, it's like, no, dude, I mean, this is history, there were white people in early America had owned black people, that's reality. That's what's really happened. You can't whitewash that away, but apparently Texas, you can.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, they're not trying just to get rid of the bad history. They're trying to get rid of anything that goes against their religious beliefs.
Right.
Good, bad, or otherwise, all they want to do is make it look like, Christianity matters. And, in a world where it increasingly doesn't.
Right. That it was a Christian nation, that there's this thing that it was the Christianly thing to do was to keep black slaves. I'm like, and Texas, that's what they're going to teach down there. And I really feel bad for the kids that are going through that curriculum right now, and they get into trying to get into college, and they say, hey, yeah, we went to Texas such and such school, and that I would really hope that the admission officer is going to say, well, you did have good grades, but you know what? The curriculum in Texas doesn't meet our standard. We will have to deny your request to come to the school. And
yeah. I hope that happens. I really do.
Yeah. Because that's what should happen. I mean, actually, I think there's some grumbling over that. I've been trying to keep an eye out for stories like that. If any of the universities are going to have said, going through this, going and reviewing what's going on in Texas. And I would hope that they would do that and make a major announcement, like a Harvard or whatever big schools, whatever the big, University of Illinois, I know, is very popular for engineering and computer science. And it would be nice if that school says, we can't accept students from Texas. That would be a good thing.
Yeah, but I don't know that they really can. Especially any of them that are state or federal funded schools. You've got that unfortunate little thing in the Constitution about full faith and, anybody who comes out of a public school, that automatically transfers any place else that gets public funding.
Right. But school has to be accredited too. If they lose their accreditation, that may be all they need.
Yeah, but the accreditation comes from Texas. Texas accredits their own schools. So they're going to continue to accredit all their own schools.
Yeah, there's got to be something. Or maybe they could make the announcement, yeah, we'll accept students from Texas, but you're going to need to take these courses before you can become a freshman, and something like that, just to...
I don't know.
But there has to be some kind of announcement where the parents down there say, we can't get our kids into a decent college. I don't know how good is Texas A&M, I guess. Maybe if it's state colleges, maybe they'll take them. Of course, yeah. I'm sure the all the religious ones, the Liberty Institute and all those places. Oh yeah, come on, we want you Texans.
Oh yeah. Well, come on, all the schools just want money. They don't give a crap about education. Give me a break.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right on that one. I think they strive for a quality education, but of course it all comes down to dollars, and maybe they will if there's an exception, whatever.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know. We'll see, but it would be nice if the colleges will say, yeah, we can't accept, or we're going to need to have Texas students go through a half year of remedial science, history, something like that, before we can let you in. Just something like that. At least tick off the parents, and then they can come to the state and say, hey, we got to change this now. Our kids are not going to be able to go to college, or at least it's going to cost us more to send our kids to college because our stupid school board made our kids ineligible to be, to go to these schools.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
My only real concern here, and I really don't want to turn this into a giant educational debate because we just don't have time for that today, is a lot of these schools just couldn't care less. And the parents don't have to worry about it because the kids are just getting student loans paid for by the government. So the government is paying these kids to go to school for as long as they want to go to school. And of course these kids can't default on the loans, so the government doesn't care. These kids are just ruining their own lives by paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to these schools and not learn anything. Most of them are out there just getting drunk anyway. I don't know that this is something that's really going to be easy to fix. And I don't think it's something where anybody's really going to care if these major universities say, well, you guys didn't learn what it took to get into the school in the first place, so now we have to fix you. Well, let's face it, most universities have to do that anyway because most people don't learn crap in high school. There's a lot of people who get out of high school and can't even read. I don't know. It's a mess, to be sure. All right, well, I think we've put it off long enough.
Yeah.
We have tried really hard not to do this.
I still don't want to do this, but you know what? Our listeners, they listen to us with the respect. They know that we'll take a bullet for our listeners, and this is one big effing bullet.
Yeah. All right, so let's do the main event.
This is the main event.
All right, Ray Comfort just released a new video, and I call it a video because it's just 45 minutes long, so it's not like it's a movie or a documentary or anything, called Evolution versus God. Now, I had a listener who is a self-identified conservative atheist ask us to take on this video, so that's what we're going to do. Originally, I was really hesitant because the only easy way to get this video was to pay Ray Comfort $19.99 on his website, but we found another way without putting a red cent into Ray's coffers, and I recommend that anybody else who wants to see this do the same. And if you email me, I'd be happy to provide you links on how to do that. I'll be the first one to say this video is painful. It's about as absurd as Expelled, No Intelligence Allowed, and the other classic evangelical Christian films that have really nothing to offer, yet make a big deal about it. So here, we're going to take on Evolution versus God. Let's cry now.
Yeah, it's one of those things, it's like you accidentally see your grandmother in the bathroom naked, and you're trying to get that Ray Comfort. I mean, and the thing is, you never really see Ray until later in the movie, but it's like, it's in there. Get that image out of my head. It was that appalling.
Yeah, that's it.
I've seen a lot of conspiracy movies, there's the lady who has the, not really movies, they're, just the short videos where, she's got the hose and she's got her thumb on there and she's making the rainbow and she had never seen that before. And, you're like, you weren't a kid. You never played in a hose. It's like, come on, like I said, I felt like my IQ dropping just watching this thing.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And I guess you have to let your IQ drop just to hide away the logic errors, just the insanity that is what you're seeing on that screen.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we really get going, I wanted to kind of like give a picture of how pissed off this thing made me. Now, I mean, nobody knows this, but when I'm doing show notes for every episode and for all the stories that we do, I'll usually write down 3 to 4 bullet points, things I want to talk about or touch on, that kind of stuff. For this segment, I have 47 bullet points. That's how pissed off I am about the bullshit that Ray Comfort has been spewing. Now, the way that this is set up, it's essentially, at least for the first maybe 35, 40 minutes, it's Ray Comfort going around with a microphone at one or more universities, I'm not sure which. He interviews 3, quote-unquote, experts, I guess. And those include P.Z. Myers, Gail Kennedy, and Greg Stanford. And then he has 5 or 6 students. Something like, would you think like 5 or 6, 7, 8?
Yeah, 8.
Maybe like 8, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, and alright, for his experts, P.Z. Myers is a fucking idiot. Alright, let's just get that out there right now. Why this asshole keeps being in these stupid religious videos after the kind of crap he took over, like Expelled, where he knows these people are going to just lie about him. They're going to creatively edit anything he says to make it look like he agrees with what they say or that he's an idiot. Why does he keep being in these things?
That is a mystery to me, because I know Dawkins will not do, I kind of looked into Comfort, some of the, Dawkins won't, debate creationists, period. And I agree with that. You just don't debate these guys. Conspiracy theorists. In an official debate, a face-to-face, in an audience type thing, you don't debate these people because there's no debating them, and you don't really prove anything when you debate these people.
Well, it's like William Lane Craig just invited Jerry Coyne to a debate, and Jerry said no, because it's going to look really good on your CV, but it's not going to look very good on mine. That's the way this goes. But Myers just keeps doing this stupid crap over and over and over, and I don't know. Does he expect something different to happen? Does he expect, like, Ray Comfort to grow an honest bone in his body? I don't get it.
I don't get it, because I was trying to pay close attention to Myers. I don't like the guy either. I was watching him, and he was being honest. Now, granted, one of the things I've noticed, and actually, I was kind of looking at some of the technical things that were going on in the film, and I noticed that it's heavily edited. There's even spots where they were cutting off people. They were trying to say something more, and you can just about catch it. They just cut it off right at that, at the right point. I knew right away he's going to be, chopped up, and they're going to put what Ray wants you to hear.
Right.
And the stuff he was saying, he was being basically honest about, like, when they were going through, like, talking about faith. Comfort was trying to get him to say that, taking this on faith. I think, but did Meyer admit that?
No, he did. He didn't admit the faith part, but, if I was him, if I had that kind of experience with these people, I would not be giving these really simplistic answers that are very, very easy to take out of context like he does. I would be giving these long, involved, complex answers that basically makes it impossible for my words to be taken out of context. Why the fuck isn't he doing that?
Well, maybe he did and it just got cut out. Because that seems to be, because there was nothing substance out of any of the discussions. He would hit you up, well, isn't believing in evolution is like having faith in God or whatever. And, you get the blank stare, you get the the quick answer, but nothing really substantial. So if there was, that all got cut out.
Oh, I'm sure. I'd love to see the cutting room floor on this movie.
Yeah.
All right, so we agree Peasy's an idiot.
Yeah.
Gail Kennedy, she's a clueless little twit too.
Yeah. I'm hoping that her best stuff is on the cutting floor too, because the stuff she was saying, it was like kind of like what I'm doing now. I'm just stuttering, and that seemed to be all that they were putting out. Or
well, no, her first answer was, "Oh no, I'm not an atheist. Agnostics are different." No, bitch, you're fucking wrong.
Yeah.
You don't understand the terminology. So, and that's kind of how she stumbled through the entire thing. And yeah, I'm hoping that she had some really substantive things that she said that Comfort just cut out. And then we got Craig Stanford, who was the only one out of the three who actually said anything intelligent and who actually kind of understood what Ray Comfort was doing. And he actually got some good points in. But, mostly all three of the experts were just a bunch of dinglings.
Yeah. And that's probably, again, cutting room floor, and even the question, many of the questions seem to be almost like strong, he goes after the weakest parts of evolution. Not that it's not that it's weak, but when he was going after the time, the time thing, where evolution takes over millions of years, and the scientific method says you should be able to observe, it should be observable, that type of thing. And since we don't live millions of years, we never really witnessed these evolutionary steps. We got evidence of it, but we have never physically observed. We see the, speciation where birds will larger beaks, smaller beaks, whatever the modifications that go along with that. Comfort's like, oh, no. We're talking going from fish to bird or fish to dinosaur to bird to that. We haven't physically witnessed it, so it can't happen. Of course, it can't happen. It all has to happen at once by, the divine being. So he uses that because that's really, one of the problems with evolution. We just haven't really, we don't have observations. We've got evidence of change, but we don't have the actual.
Well, no, we have observations. He just throws out all the observations. He does not accept anything for evolution unless it is interspecies change. The whole thing shows he doesn't understand what the fuck he's talking about because he kept talking about kinds. Kinds is a meaningless term in science. It doesn't mean anything. Darwin said it once. He goes, well, Darwinian evolution only talks about kinds. Well, he's full of shit. And then he kept walking around going, well, you can't prove kinds, therefore you're not talking about Darwinian evolution. And I'm sure lots of people called him on Darwinian evolution because that doesn't even exist. That's not even a thing. But he cut all that crap out. Yeah. It's the same thing as if people wanted theists to produce a miracle and theists couldn't do it. And you're going, well, you just proved God doesn't exist. You must have faith. And the whole thing was just dumb.
Yeah.
There was one point where Stanford actually got out evidence for species change, and Ray kept going, well, don't talk about species, I'm talking about kinds. They're still finches, right? They're still fish. They're still this. It's like, you're still an idiot, fucker.
Yeah. Trying to find a logical fallacy. It's like he built these straw men. And actually it seems to me that all the segments, we're just talking about that this was the first segment, right? It was the first segment. There's other segments where he builds this straw man where he basically ignores a whole bunch of stuff. He goes into that, the long term, this million-year thing. He builds that as the straw man because he knows he can knock that down. Whereas anything else that goes along with it doesn't matter to him. He's not doing this, is he? You can't be doing this. You're making the straw man argument that evolution can't be possible because we can't observe over the millions of years. We've got other evidence. We have other evidence to support evolution, but he's bundled it all into that one argument that he can knock down because you can't observe, so it's.
Yeah, there's lots of things we can't observe. We can't observe the birth of stars. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen, you fucktard.
Right. What I'm getting at is, we have evidence. I mean, we haven't actually observed these things happening. We have evidence that these things occur because we have a fossil record. That should have been some of the answers. It's not that.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I'm sure that came up a lot. I'm sure he cut it all out.
Yes.
You know, his second part when he was talking about intelligent design, and he's going, well, go ahead and you know, produce a rose out of nothing. And then he basically told everybody that they can't, you know, that there's absolutely nothing that they can use. They have to create it out of thin air with nothing. And I'm going, well, dude, you're saying these people should be able to do things that non-intelligent or evolution could do. Well, dumbass, you're asking intelligent people to do things that you were saying that non-intelligent things can't do. You don't understand your fucking argument.
Well, that's it. He wanted them to make a rose out of nothing. Well, you can't. There's nothing there to make a rose out of. I mean, that should have been the answer right there. You know, he builds another straw man, which he knows he can knock that down because how do you create something out of nothing? Well, you can't. But you know, creating a rose, creating this, you can't answer that. But you know, if you understand how to build the cells and build, you know, whatever, yeah, you could probably do it. But you know, it's one of these. No way you can answer it.
Well, yeah, because even one guy even said, "Give me a seed or something," and he's going, "Nope, you can't start with a seed." And I would be going, all right, even if I had the technology and the know-how to build the rose genome from amino acids, nope, you can't use amino acids. You can't use atoms. You can't use molecules. It's like, then, you know, you're just basically defining it out of existence and then saying, why can't you do it? It's an idiotic thing to do, but that's kind of the way he does it.
Well, that's it. He's got this screwed up argument because he wants to insert God into that. Because God can create a rose out of nothing. But there seems to be this progression to say, now I can insert God into this. I beat up evolution by saying it's all about faith and, you know, that type of thing. Now, because we got to beat up on the atheists, because there was that, you know, there's that little, when he asked about famous atheists, can you name famous atheists? And no one could. When I when I really sit down and want to build a really strong argument, I like building it where I get this foundation. He built a foundation of, you know, he tore down evolution. He's going to tear down the atheists. Then I can say, well, then my conclusion is this. He did that really nice. I mean, I have to give him that credit. He knows how to do that.
Well, he knows how to edit. That's what he knows how to do.
And that's what he did, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, and he built this really nice base so then he can dive in. And you know what? The only real explanation is God did it. You know, that's the thing about Hemingway being the only real atheist in that list. And then they pointed out that he killed himself. I mean, like, what does that have anything to do with?
Well, that's really the thing is, you know, saying who are the famous scientists? Who gives a shit? Because fame does not make science valid.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a difference. And it's funny because he sat down and said, oh, there's all these atheist websites that lists all these people as atheists. Well, fuck, there's shitloads of religious websites that list scientists as religious, as though that makes the argument more powerful. It means nothing. And pretty much everybody he listed as somebody religious, he's wrong. He's ripped quotes out of context. I actually have quotes from every damn one of them that says religion is crap. You know, even if these people were deists, they certainly weren't Christians. Most of them were very adamantly anti-Christian. But of course he's not going to say that because he's trying to portray a lie as the truth.
Right.
That's what he does.
And he's good at it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, no, definitely he's using the argument from authority, you know, and using setting these authorities as, here's your model for atheists. But as you can see, they're not, there weren't, except the one who killed himself. You know, it's like, there's just so much wrong with what he said. How does he doing with a straight face? And, you know, he believes in God. Thou shalt not, commit fault. Because that's what he was doing, you know, when he was drilling those, the students. Have you ever lied? Oh yeah, I've lied. Have you ever,
I found that the funniest damn thing. Because we just watched 45 minutes of Ray Comfort lying.
Yes. He did the lying, well, to the students. He got the students to admit that they lied, that they lusted after other humans.
Yeah, and my question there immediately is, hey, Ray, have you ever been married? And I don't know, maybe he has. Did you lust after your wife before you got married? Guess what, fucker? You're wrong.
Have you ever lied? And we're all human. We lie. We've probably taken stuff from offices, and we've stolen. Probably. I have no problem saying "God damn it." So the blasphemy thing,
which is a stupid thing anyway, because there is no fucking God, so it doesn't make a difference if you blaspheme against an imaginary friend.
And I like that one guy saying, "Well, I don't believe that there's a God, so blasphemy isn't a big deal for me." And then the adultery thing, and I'm like, dude, you're human. And he's married. He's got 3 kids. So, I'm sure at some point, he got attracted to the future Mrs. Ray Comfort. So, there had to have been some impure thoughts at that point.
Yeah, you're not human if you don't do that.
Right.
Whether you're honest enough to admit it, that's another thing.
Right. But he's not honest. So we got him for lying. I think what he's doing is blasphemy. I mean, if there is a God, what he's doing is blasphemy. Not saying "God damn it" is not blasphemy for me. But, that's just me trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And stealing. Yeah, he's trying to steal $20 from all of his parishioners and for this, 45 minutes worth of garbage.
Yeah, well, I don't care if he wants to make money off of it. I'm not paying him anything.
Yeah.
I will freely admit I pirated his stupid video, and if he doesn't like it, he can shove it up his ass and sing Yankee Doodle. Don't care at all. He's never going to see a penny of my money.
Exactly. I even feel dirty getting it for free, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah.
But his whole thing, when he goes into, you're a child of God and all this other bullshit, how many people in that do you think said, okay, prove God exists, and he cut it? I bet you most of them.
There should have been some. I mean, did he pose that to Myers and the rest?
No, those people, he only did it to the students. Because okay. I'm willing to bet you that Myers and the rest of them said, prove that God exists. And he immediately cut out anything that they had to say, because he's not going to actually tell the truth about these interviews. He's presenting a bullshit argument.
Right. Yeah. I'm still numb. I'm not even sure what I saw.
Yeah. I do, because I've got lots of notes, but I mean, he does his whole thing where he keeps going around and going, and he made a big deal of this, God can legally dismiss our case and save us all. And I'm going, if God was going to dismiss our case, wouldn't he actually have to show up in court first?
Right.
And then he's going, he's been reading the Bible every day for 40 years. And I'm going, yeah, no wonder you're so fucked up.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, if Jesus dying on the cross is supposed to clear my sins, why do I have to worry about it anymore? It's done. He did his thing. I'm happy. Why should I even worry about sinning anymore if he already cleared my sins from me? So
yeah.
And apparently Ray, I mean, if Ray has a direct line to God, he's saying that, hey, I got a free end to heaven. So if I'm wrong and there is a heaven, I'm in.
Yeah, but there isn't.
Yeah, I know, but trying to be funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, he sits down and he was going, you believe in your wife or something like that. I'm going, I don't have to believe in my wife. I can prove my wife is real. When the hell are you going to get around to doing that with God? It's just, my IQ has been permanently decreased by a couple of points watching this piece of crap.
Yeah, I want my 45 minutes back.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering, he got those 8 students. I'm wondering how many students he had to interview before he got 8 that could actually fit into his agenda. He probably had to interview 50 before he found some that at the end were just going to sit there and stare doe-eyed at the camera and go, oh. Because,
if that's a sign of our science students, I mean, I think we're in bigger trouble than, there was the one guy, there's 2 of them, and I think they framed it so they can get the words, School of Science on the building.
Yeah.
And they got that into frame. There was a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, my question, I already know he's dishonest. I'm just not sure how dishonest. My question is, are any of those actually students?
That's another good question, because...
Or were they actors that he was just filming to get the kind of things that he wanted?
That is a good question. We have no proof that these were real students.
You can walk onto these campuses and film anything you damn well please. That doesn't prove you're a student, or that you know anything about any of the things you claim to know about.
Right. And you know what? You never see Ray anywhere in any of those interviews. All you see is the hand and the microphone.
And you got the voice.
And you got the voice, but that could be done, that could be done in post.
Right.
So it could have been some kid say this on camera. There's a very good chance that these were just actors, and they just put, I think they put like chemistry student. I think there was a physics student, and then there's a few. Then the rest of them, I think, were biology. Trying to remember exactly, but.
Yeah, they were mostly in the hard sciences, and then when they started asking them about the hard sciences, they didn't know anything.
Right.
Jesus, as a fucking freshman, I could tell you, as a high schooler, I could tell you all the answers to the questions he was asking. What the hell?
Yeah, I'm highly suspicious. I don't even think they gave their names. It was just, biology student, chemistry student.
Right.
So there's no way, unless you take snapshots out of there and find the university that he walked around in, and then try to find these kids. There's no way to follow, I don't even think there's any way to follow up. And I even kind of watched the credits. I don't think I saw anything, listing their names or where they were filming this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way to follow up on who's doing, who's what. So.
Right.
This thing had so many red flags. I mean, from a conspiracy guy, it's like this thing has so many so many fallacies. I mean, using the straw man arguments. He uses, ad hominem attacks. He does the, appeal to authority, appeal to lack authority. I'm sure there's other fallacies thrown in there. And, and just trying to go, oh, why is he saying that? And I'm also trying to figure out, well, why is he saying that? Well, he's building a straw man argument because he wants to be able to tear it down, or.
Yeah, that was his whole thing at the beginning with the kinds and the evolution. He was just creating a straw man that he could tear down. And then he just went around and just made absurd, unproven claims. God loves you. Okay, where's God? Well, we're going to cut that part out because we don't want anybody to ask that question.
Right.
What'd you think about the last 5 minutes? It was all just ads for Ray Comfort crap.
I would be surprised if it wasn't there. I mean, I was expecting some type of, pitch for such and such church. I wasn't really expecting the Creation Museum being advertised there. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was about right.
I mean, I was thinking more like Ray Comfort in what does he call his ministry? He calls his ministry something, and that was at the very end. But there was all the other advertisements, and you can download this at this, and
Yeah, there was all of his books, and then there was his TV, his Way of the Master crap, and then there was his TV thing. And I thought the funniest one was they were pushing a TV show with Ray, Kirk Cameron, and the Duggar family. These are the people who can't figure out what causes kids.
Yeah.
These are not people I would want to watch on TV.
Right.
Or the whole Creation Museum where they're making a big deal that 1.5 million people have gone there. Well, how many of those 1.5 million people have gone there to laugh at them? P.C. Myers ran through there with about 50 people to just go in and laugh at how ridiculous it is. But they don't take that into account because they want everybody to think these are all supporters. No, they're not supporters. You're a joke. They're there to laugh at you.
Yeah, he did his spiel. He built his argument. Then he gave you a little bit of a sermon, preach to you. And then, okay, on the way out, we've got all these wonderful things you can buy from me. It just reeks of evangelist preacher.
Well, that's what it is.
Right. I mean, at its best, its worst, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I was thinking about when I was watching this thing, because I couldn't really take any of it seriously, why don't I ever get interviewed for shit like this? Seriously, if I was P.Z. Myers, which thank goodness I'm not, but if I was P.Z. Myers, the first thing I would have done when Ray Comfort walked up to me with a microphone is I would have whipped out my cell phone and said, I'm putting everything that you do on video, and it's going online so that you cannot twist my words later, where I have an actual complete record of everything that goes on here. And as soon as he'd walk away from me, because he'd have to, because there's no way he could allow you to do that, I'd get up and follow his ass around the campus, filming everything.
Yeah.
So that I could put up a complete record. And I would call all the local schools, and I would say, this dumbass is going to come on your campus, get somebody out there doing this. And there's nothing he could do about it.
Right.
And that would shut his ass down immediately. Why doesn't somebody do that?
I wonder.
I mean, there's always the obvious reason, because Ray Comfort just isn't worth shitting on, but, it's still a nice thought to think somebody would actually go out there and shut this fucker down.
Unless he's doing this on at Liberty University, I don't know if they got a school of science. I mean.
Well, for all we know, he's doing it on a soundstage with a blue screen. And none of this is real.
Right.
If he's interviewing PZ, he's probably up in your neck of the woods, up in Minnesota and that kind of thing. Yeah. So maybe everything that he did was in Minnesota. We don't know. I don't know where the other experts were. I haven't bothered to look it up because it really doesn't make a difference. Right. I mean, all he does is make people look bad. So why does anybody let him interview them anymore? We know he's a lying sack of shit.
You really don't want to be doing that. I mean, I know there's an argument about, I think I'm trying to remember I tried to follow some of those discussions about, well, should you debate creationism or creationists or conspiracy, whatever the topic was. Should you be debating them or not? And I'm of the opinion you don't. To me, it doesn't sound like the right forum to be doing that. I mean, it should be, one-on-one, like what we're doing. We're teaching, we're explaining, we're showing our listeners, here's what we think, here's what we believe, here's what we're interested in, as opposed to, this show being you bring a creationist on and you hammer it out. Nothing would get done. Neither side is going to look too good.
Well, no, I would argue that there was a point in time when you could sit down and legitimately debate a creationist, but that time was back in like the 80s, back before the dishonest creationists came out, the Dwayne Gishes, the Henry Morrises, all those kind of people who would rather lie for the Lord than engage in a rational debate. And as soon as those people came out and they started being successful for, as much as that means, everybody went their way. And lying became the way that was done. And after that, no, there was no point in ever debating a creationist because they weren't interested in actually winning a debate. They were interested in shoving their agenda in people's face and trying to convert the audience. And that's really all they do today.
There's that part,
Well, there are ways to do it. There are ways to ensure that it is going to be open and honest and fair. Yeah. And as soon as you introduce any of those things, the creationists won't debate anymore because they don't want an open, honest, fair debate.
Right. But if you're the atheist going into to do it at a church function.
Nope, never do it. Do not allow anybody to stack the deck. That's exactly what they're doing by holding it at a church in the first place.
Right. Versus, like, if you went to a university and did it, are you going to convert anybody in the audience? Because that's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to you're trying to explain yourself so that they can make a rational decision. Hopefully they'll change their mind.
But I'd really argue that that's what's wrong with a lot of these debates, is that people aren't trying to debate a point and come to a conclusion. They're trying to wave their arms around and convince people in the audience to walk away and join their side. I debate ideas. I don't debate converts. I want to take a position, take a question, is there a God, is whatever question you happen to come up with, and I want both sides to present their best arguments for that position, and we come to a conclusion on that question. Unfortunately, most of these debates are not done that way. It's both sides trying to do one-upsmanship on the other guy to make the other guy look bad. You don't actually have to provide any evidence for your side. You just have to make the other guy look worse than you do. That's not a debate. That's a laughingstock.
If you're going into a place like a church or some type of religious organizations sponsor something, there's not going to be too many minds you're going to change. You might get one or two, but you're not going to get 10, 20%,
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, if I was ever going to debate somebody like Ray Comfort, I would not go into that debate to defend evolution or anything like that, because it's already been proven. All right, anybody who wants to go look at the evidence, can go look at the evidence. I would go into those debates specifically to prove that Ray is a lying little motherfucker.
Yeah.
And that would be my entire purpose. I don't care what the subject of the debate is. My purpose in going in that door and getting on that stage is to prove that he is a lying son of a bitch. It would be to make him storm off that stage. That would be the only way I would actually do any of these debates, because that's the only thing that there is to prove in any of this. As soon as you prove he's a lying sack of crap, everything he does becomes irrelevant.
Right.
And that might sound in contradiction to what I just said, but you have to remember Ray Comfort and his ilk don't walk into these debates to actually have an honest debate. So why should I go in expecting to do something that they can't be expected to do? No, I mean, I think they're lying crapples. Let's prove they're lying crapples.
Yeah. Maybe that is the way to do it, but that's not something I would do. But I would just say no. I won't. I haven't been asked yet, but I'm certainly not going to debate guys like Alex Jones. I mean, he's just like that. The guy's a liar. The guy, the stuff he says, he twists the truth. He makes up stuff, and everyone thinks he's exactly. It was funny. Every so often I like to look up my name and my other podcast to see where it's registering, and apparently I made it to the Infowars.com board, which is Alex Jones and his crazies, and apparently I'm a turd.
Oh, good.
I'm a turd and a idiot, because I did a show about Alex Jones, and there's video out there of Alex Jones punching Geraldo Rivera. And the next day, Jones goes back to his studio and says that Rivera punched him, where you can actually see Jones' arm going up and hitting him in the nose. And, it's that denial. I mean, and of course, cause like he'll use the argument, well, it's all propaganda. That was photoshopped out, that type of crap.
Yeah, right.
It's like, dude, you're caught, and he'll lie. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw his Piers Morgan stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that stuff. He's a bully. He just yells. I've listened to his show. He bullies his audience.
Well, that's really why I can't watch a lot of these creationist debates or, science versus theist debates or any of that anymore. I try, and these people just aren't credible or honest. Why am I going to waste my time when I spend most of my time just screaming at the screen going, you're a fucking idiot liar? What's the point? So, yeah, I just won't do that anymore.
Nothing's going to change his mind.
Nope.
I'm sure the same thing is with Comfort. You're not going to change his mind. He's drinking the Kool-Aid. He's taking the blue pill. He's done all that stuff. So maybe that is the only way to deal with him, is just he had that, he republished, Darwin, Origin of Species, but he took 4 chapters out of the book and put his crap in there.
Yep.
And then when he got called out on it, he goes, well, we just randomly selected these chapters. No, motherfucker. You picked the ones that pointed out that, thing that you're against. It's like, come on, guy.
See, that's what we ought to do. We need to reprint the Bible. We need to take out the Gospels, and we need to put our own crap in there. And then we need to print up a couple thousand of them and leave them in hotel room.
Yeah.
That would be hysterical.
Yeah.
We should do that.
That's a thought. That's a good thought. Yeah. I like that.
You never know. All right. Well, I had a whole bunch of quotes from all of the people who claimed we're not atheists. I'm going to just go ahead and put those into the show notes on the website. Otherwise, I don't know how much there is still to say about this piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean, I think we hit everything I kind of got on my notes. I noticed, all the fallacies, he seems to be, there just seems to be a one-way communication, and you never see him in the video itself. So yeah, you gotta wonder if he's, if he's really there doing the interviews, or he's just being dubbed in afterwards, which, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me a bit. I definitely give this a thumbs down.
Yeah, I will give this 140,000 thumbs down. And I will, as soon as I'm done recording this, I'm going to immediately go and delete the damn files, so I never have to deal with it ever again. I can't even recommend that people download this for the laugh factor, because there isn't really a laugh factor in this.
Yeah, it's not even funny. It's sad. It's
now
pathetic.
What I would like to see, a number of years ago, somebody, when Expelled came out, they went through and they did, they dubbed the movie kind of pop-up video style, where they went through and they detailed everything that the movie did wrong. And I think it was up on YouTube. I might try to find that and post it. If somebody did that with this video, I might watch it again. But otherwise, no. I mean, I yell at my monitor enough. I don't need to sit and watch Ray Comfort be a complete shit stain.
Right. But you're being nice, calling him a shit stain.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's probably the best thing anybody can say about him, but, hey, I'm a nice guy. What do you want?
Right. That's right. That's right.
All right, so this gets a huge thumbs down. Nobody see it. And certainly, nobody pay that little cocksucker for it. Please.
Definitely.
All right. All right, well, let's call it a week.
Yes. I think we did enough for 2 weeks, actually.
All right, and that's our show. Please check us out on Stitcher or iTunes or YouTube or any of the other places our podcast is available, and tell everybody you know about us. We're trying to make an impact on this religious-soaked world, and we can't do that if nobody knows we're here. If you're interested in being a guest on our show, please go to our website and click on the Want to Be a Guest link. We'd love to have you on. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back again next week with more conservative atheist news and views. See you then. You've been listening to the Bitchspot Report podcast with your hosts, Cephus and Mike. You can follow us on Twitter respectively at Bitchspot1 or at JDRipper1962. Please visit our website at report.jdragononline.com. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/TheBspotReport. We're also on Google+, iTunes, and YouTube. Those links are at our website. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach us via email at report@jdragononline.com. Comments, ideas, and suggestions are always welcome. We'll be back next week with another fun and fact-filled episode. Please tune in again.